Hello. So I'm going to go and discuss a question that's out there or has been out there, which is actually kind of important. Question of whether 1 equals 0.9 or 0.9 repeating if it's equal to 1. Um, First of all, the reason it's important is because there's something called decimal place values, something you probably want to look up to understand decimal numbers, because decimal numbers basically codes for specific values of numbers, and so you can't have like two different codes meaning the same value. Just that does not work. So the first thing I'm going to do is type this out. So decimal numbers, here we go. Search. Alright, here's what the decimal numbers look like. So they've got a decimal point, there's a ones place, and there's a tenth place, and basically all that means is you got decimal point that separates the whole numbers, meaning the units, from the partial part of a whole number. That already tells you that one number, meaning the one that has a 0 on one side of the decimal point, means there is no ones, there aren't any value of 1 there. And on the right side, what you've got is just fractions, more or less, is what it comes down to. So the idea here is to look to see what it really says. So in other words, the digits, which are basically all the individual numbers that make up an actual number, it says the digits following decimal point show a value smaller than 1. So we got our answer. The two numbers can't be equal because a part of a whole number can't be the same as a whole number, which is what 1 is. But the 0.9 repeating isn't and doesn't have a value of 1. It's just a portion of a whole number. And so it's also less than 1 because that's the point of the decimal numbers. You put the period in there so they can separate between, well, what's the whole number and what's the part number? Just like saying 1.5. You got one whole number and then you got half a 1. And just because it says 0.9 and they all repeat, they're still all 9s, so the same rule still applies. So what we really need to bring up, which is the important part I was mentioning about before, is that when the actual mathematicians, they all say, well, the numbers are equal. Well, no, that's not true. What they should be really saying is that either they're approximately the same value or they are equal by definition. So we'll look up the symbol for that. And what you'll notice is that the equal by definition symbol is not the same as just an equal sign. And that's what needs to be understood. Because now we got all these mathematicians confusing the subject of math. Math is actually relatively easy until people start teaching you incorrectly. So this is going to be one video that's going to start up discussing math. I think that I'll probably start discussing more about it in length, but first I want to cover this subject because learning is kind of important. You can do it from the right people. And any mathematician that tells you these two numbers are equal in value doesn't know even the very basics of math. And I can prove that really simple because we'll go back and look at this from decimal numbers. And then we can also put down decimal place values. Decimal place values, what that really means here is, as you can see right here, is we're talking about what the decimal system is showing you. In other words, it's a code saying if there's a digit here and has a certain value, then that's the whole value of the number. So we've got the decimal point here that determines, as it says right here, it says the position system of notation in which the position of a number with respect to a point determines the value. Translated, that what that means is that both the decimal, the digit itself, the position of it, and the value, both are going to determine what the value of the number is. So I'm gonna start ending this video. It's kind of late. I wanted to finish this up as a thought. I'm going to go ahead and publish it, but I'm probably not going to keep it on here. I need to be more detailed about this, and I just said things as they are. I probably have to start planning this out and exactly what I need to say. But this is a start because it's kind of important to understand that you can't trust even the mathematicians if they start telling you this kind of nonsense about two numbers. Now, they can't be equal because decimal numbers are made by the digits. And so what that actually means is that you can only have 1 and 1 being 2 if they're all digits. You can't go ahead and say 1 and 2 is also 2. It doesn't work. And the digits make up the value of the number. So it is impossible to have more than one decimal number having one value. 1 has a value 1, period, nothing else. You can have other types of numbers that are not decimal numbers equal to 1, but not a decimal number. It's a code. You can't screw that up. Anyway, calling it at night. I'm going to publish this and then probably redo it sometime when I have time again. It's kind of late. And see what people think about it. And then either I will leave it or I will not. In any case, one of the things I want to do is try out to see how well this recording will work on my cell phone. Maybe that's a better approach in showing certain things because people can relate to the phone better on how to find things than to actually do other things. One of the many things I do for work is I'm teaching classes in computers and how to use cell phones. I'm going to make that more available to other people eventually, but right now I'm in the process of actually creating a website to define the outline of that kind of class for the cell phones. Anyway, I gotta stop and get some rest. It's like 10:30, and yeah, it's a Saturday night, but hey, I had oral surgery for about almost 2 hours on Thursday. I'm still not in a good mood. Anyway, you guys enjoy this, and I'm gonna call it end on this.